Welcome to Regulate This, an RIAly unfiltered podcast.
Hey guys, it's Leila Shaver, and I've got my favorite co-host, Tracie Bear, joining me.
Hello, everybody. So happy to be here today.
I am so excited. I don't know about you, Tracie, but I am just tickled. Maybe tickled's not the right word. I am super excited about this series that we're starting today. And basically what we're doing is over the next 10 episodes, we are going to go through the RIA journey. So from startup to an M&A acquisition, we're going to follow your firm growth and kind of tell you all the shit that's going to go sideways, all the mistakes you're making. But also, we're not going to just tell you the problems. We're going to give you the solutions so that you can avoid it and learn from everyone else who made the mistakes ahead of you and come out ahead.
For this episode 1, those of you that are just starting out, you're solo, you're a small team RIA, you're leaving bigger firms perhaps, or maybe buying a book of business, you're figuring out about registration, you're trying to acquire clients, and you're trying to turn your practice into a real bona fide business. You're still hustling, you're learning and building compliance from scratch. Most of you are under 100 million in AUM. So for those of you out there that are listening, you realize that you're wearing every hat and your day might start with something like this. You just left your employer, you filed your Form ADV, and now you're staring at a blank compliance manual while trying to land your next client. And all of this requires the same thing. You're chained to your desk. You are everything. You're likely the bookkeeper. You're likely figuring out your own IT problems or sitting on the phone for hours with whatever technology you're using. You are the salesperson, the marketing person, the compliance person. You're the person that deals with the custodian. You are the problem solver. You are the solution solver. You are the solution creator. You are everything. And you really don't know what you don't know until you find out you don't know it. And most of those lessons are going to come at a painful price, whether it's a fine, whether it's a public admonishment, whether it's a loss of a client or a client complaint. You won't realize you aren't doing something until a regulator or a client or a custodian points out that you have a problem, because you've got your hand in so many pots, you can't possibly know what's going on everywhere. If this is you, or it sounds familiar in full or in part, then listen up, because we need to talk about all of this.
So it sounds like what you were describing, Tracie, is shock, right? I started my firm. It's going to be sexy and fun and wonderful and amazing, and I'm going to make so much more money being on my own. But it's like, holy shit. You don't realize all the things that go into running the business, building your operations, building your compliance, hiring, recruiting, bringing on board clients, doing sales, doing marketing. And yes, you are doing marketing, because even putting on LinkedIn, hey, started my own RIA, that is known as marketing, because no one ever hung up their shingle or put up the sign for their business and then all of a sudden it was like, woo, look at all these droves of people coming to me. No, you've got to hustle, market, and sell. You need to put yourself out there to get the leads in. So whether you are willing to cop to it or not, you are doing some form of marketing to get business in. But there is absolutely a ton of shock, right? Because when you're transferring clients, you've got to do all that new account paperwork. Even if you're using the same custodian, you still have to get new limited power of attorney for the new firm. You've got to get new contracts signed. You're a new entity, so you have to get all the new IPSs and everything else up to date. And let me tell you something, you can't just take the data from your old firm. Your clients have privacy rights. They have to give you permission. Actually, they have to give the former firm permission to release their data and information to your firm. So please keep that in mind. If you're one of these broker protocol firms, broker protocol works when you move from one broker protocol firm to another. So both firms, the departing firm and the firm that you're transferring to, both have to be part of broker protocol in order to take advantage of the protections under that. But even then, remember, you are limited to a limited amount of client information, and it has to be reviewed and approved for you to take it by the firm you're leaving from. So those of you who think broker protocol is going to protect you, there's still been litigation between broker protocol firms for taking data beyond what you're allowed to take. So just a caveat there. But yeah, there's a whole lot of things you've got to do, Tracie, when you start up your business.
Well, and you're exactly right. The shock is real because when you were under somebody else's umbrella, it looked so easy, right? It looked like, okay, so they're not the ones perhaps doing the hustling from your perspective when you're an employee. They're not doing all of the things you're doing. And sometimes all of us have been in the position where we've looked at somebody that is leading us, whether they're the owner or a manager or somebody in leadership, and thought, gosh, if they can do it, anybody can, right? And so we decide to hang a shingle and think, well, I'm more, savvy than that person, or I'm more technologically advanced, or I'm smarter, I'm more personable, I'm more charming, I have a better sales technique, whatever it is that led us to believe this is our calling. And for many of you, it likely is. But the truth is, you've got to put your ego in your backpack, and you've got to allow yourself to realize that there's a lot you don't know. And you don't know what you don't know until you find out you don't know it. And like I said earlier, you don't want it to be super painful. As you're going through, it's making sure that when you do partner with other people, whether it's bringing in an actual partner or bringing in new advisors over time, or even clients that you're bringing in, let alone vendors, right, that you might be working with. But as you're doing that, you need to make sure that you're aligning with the right people. And part of that is knowing what it is you want. If you don't know what your business model is and you're going to just be throwing spaghetti at the wall, and you don't know what your real goal is or what outcome you're eventually trying to achieve to know if you're successful or not, and you just think, I just want to make some money, but you don't have a goal as to how much money you need to make, or you don't understand from a business perspective, what does it cost to operate, whether it's an in-home office, or maybe I can't work out of my home. Maybe it's noisy, or I have kids, or whatever the case may be. When summer approaches, it makes it much harder to have an in-home office if you have family that's home. Whatever the case is, understanding all of those things from a business perspective, all the way to just what are the things that I actually am good at, that I enjoy doing, that I want to keep doing? What are things I'm not so great at that I know I have to do in the interim because I can't afford to do something different? But those are the first things I'm going to, get off my plate. In order to do that, you have to know where you're going, because you could literally hire the wrong partner. You could hire the wrong employees. You could obtain the wrong clients. They pay, but they're not who you want to work with. So the first thing you need to do is know who you are and what you want. And then from there, you can start building and learning and growing. So what are some of the things, Leila, that whether most of these folks are probably, state registered, but let's say there's somebody that has an exception and they go right for the gusto with the SEC for some reason. What are some of the first things that those regulators are looking at that you have to keep on your plate and be aware of in that first kind of year? Because as we know, when you get registered, there are some of those, like silver unicorns that are out there flying, that it's been 15 years and no one's knocked at their door. And I would not say to those people that are out there that are like, whew, I flew under the radar yet again. That's not a benefit for you because you've had 15 years to build like real crap and to have like a trunk full of baggage and not know what's in your baggage. And by the time they start unearthing it, you could actually be in a lot more hot water than those folks that have just started and are audited in that first year. But as we all know, most of the time when you register, you're going to get audited at some point in the future. And for many, in the near future, within that first 9 to 12 months. So now that everybody's shaking, their teeth are chattering, they're living in fear of what they have to do, what are the biggest hurdles that you tend to see?
Let's go back to when you're getting registered. We've talked to so many clients where it's like, oh, I just want to use my old firm's ADV because I'm pretty much going to do the same thing. And oh, by the way, here's a copy of their compliance manual and their code of ethics and their contract. I'm going to do the same thing. And it's like, okay. So when we review these documents, we are looking at it from the perspective of, does this meet regulatory scrutiny? Is it consistent with what the expectations are today? Because a lot of these documents are based on templates that may have been created 10 or more years ago. And the world has changed since then, right? And a lot of times we get clients who are like, well, they're doing it. Why can't I? It's like, well, yes, they're doing that, but they're not supposed to. Right? Or they're not doing it the right way. So simply because someone's gotten away with it doesn't mean it doesn't violate state or federal rule. It doesn't mean that they're doing it correctly or appropriately. It just means they haven't been caught yet. When it comes to using other firms' documents, I always look at those with a degree of scrutiny and skepticism. Because again, one of the biggest items of feedback we get from regulators, and you can look at enforcement reports, you can look at guidance from the SEC on the SEC's website, litigation releases, it's that these manuals are too templated. And during your first exam, which if you're SEC registered will happen within the first 12 to 24 months, if you're state registered, it varies based on your home state, but certainly within the first 5 to 10 years. What you're looking at are these manuals that are templated and they don't actually reflect your actual business practices, right? Because it's very fine to theorize, oh, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it in this way. And then you actually start doing it and you realize, I can't do it the way I thought I was going to be able to do it. I've got to pivot here and I've got to pivot here and I've got to do this differently. But 99.99999% of you are not being like, oh, let me go back to my compliance documents and update them for those changes. So what happens is your ADV is no longer synced with how you're conducting your business. Your compliance documents, your manual, your code of ethics, your business continuity plan, your cybersecurity policy, your incident response plan, none of those are consistent anymore with how you're conducting your business because you haven't kept up with updating them based on how your business evolves and grows. And let's be real, business today, running a business today is not like running a business 30 years ago. You could stay with a vendor for 10, 15, 20 years. People don't do that anymore. Technology has come so far and there's so many things changing with vendors so quickly that firms aren't staying with vendors for long and extended periods of time anymore because the technological capabilities are changing, which allows them to grow more quickly and in different ways than, say, 30 years ago, right? Even the way we market, the way we communicate with each other has changed, right? I remember when I was a kid, my mom had a car phone. I didn't get my first cell phone until I was 16. We didn't get our first at-home desktop computer, not even laptop, but desktop computer until I was 13, right? That doesn't, that's not even a thing. Like my kids came out of the womb with a tablet in their hand, people are using technology sooner, they're more capable, and especially when you consider AI and all that it's helped us do, we are advancing at a much faster rate. So ignoring your compliance documents, and along with that goes, another mistake that these firms are making is ignoring books and records rules. There have been so many enforcement actions around books and records, whether that's appropriately archiving them. That's where we get into off-channel communications. You have business communications that aren't being archived and supervised. If you're the case where you've changed CRMs, you're using different CRMs, say you are multiple advisors and they all get to use their own CRM, are you appropriately archiving it? Do you have access to that data? Are you making sure it's being supervised? Understanding how the technology vendors you're using work. Do you need to implement archiving rules, right? A lot of these systems, they don't just come to you already set up. You've got to go through a setup process. I was talking to the salesperson. They knew I was in financial services. They knew we had these standards. Your salesperson don't give a shit, okay? They are not the person that's setting up the technology. They are the salesperson. They are selling you. They want your credit card. They want you to pay the first installment. They're not verifying that it's set up appropriately. The archiving settings are set up appropriately. That's you. You got to do it. So, and along with that, I think depending on where you are when you start up your RA, especially when you have no clients, no AUM, you're bootstrapping it, you're relying on your savings to get started, you're doing a lot of DIY without understanding the rules. You're not taking the time to understand the rules, and your DIY comes back and bites you on the ass.
I think you make a ton of good points, and a lot of it is, again, not knowing, right? And not getting yourself to the point of learning either, because ultimately the owner is responsible. Even if you grow big and you have somebody that's your CCO internally eventually, or you have vendors helping you are still ultimately responsible for knowing what's going on, how it's supposed to work, and if it's getting done. I think this leads itself to a lot of what you said, though, Leila. For example, taking documents from a former employer, you should check your employment agreement first. Let me just give you that little caveat on if you can do that or not. Secondarily, if you weren't part of the leadership meetings, that'd be like me saying, Leila and I are the same height and the same weight, so I'm going to take her medical records because I don't really want to go to the doctor and get a physical. And I'm just going to take it to the pharmacy and I'm going to hope that they'll prescribe me her medications because we should be the same. No, just because we're the same size or we have the same ideas or we get along swimmingly doesn't mean we have the same history. It doesn't mean we have the same path forward either. And that's the same thing when you're taking somebody else's documents. You don't know if they've been having meetings saying, this is trash and we've been able to get away with this for years and we need to update this. This is high on our priority list. You don't know if they're saying like the car dealerships, there are court cases out there where they knew certain cars had the propensity to explode or have gas leaks or different things. But when they figured out the cost that they'd have to replace all of that line of cars versus what they'd pay out in fines or in fees or in legal settlements was much less. So they could still make a ton of money even if a certain amount of people died. The risk tolerance was okay with them. Just like when you get different clients in, they might have the same amount of money, but different levels of risk tolerance. So you don't know if that former employer had a risk tolerance that you cannot bear with your pocketbook at this point. You have no clue. Also, realizing that the manual is such an important part. It's basically telling that regulator when you register, here's the playbook. I want to do business in your jurisdiction with all of your people that are domiciled within, and here's how I'm going to do it. This is how I'm going to conduct business. Then when they come in to audit you, they say, are you doing what you said you're going to do? Because we agreed to let you be here as long as you did it this way. So when you make changes, when you decide to do your fee structure differently, or you decide to offer things differently, or you're one of those people that in your books and records, no, we don't text message, only if I'm at dinner and it serves me well in that moment. No, then you do text message, and you do have to keep those things. And now your phone is ripe for discovery because you're doing it through your actual personal phone and not through some app that archives it. Or those folks that are like, well, I just email my work email to my personal email. So now your personal email is discoverable. So you're opening up a huge level of risk there and you don't even know it. So again, you just don't know what you don't know. So when you go to DIY or you say, I'm going to go back and I'm going to fix that and you don't, you're just adding layers and layers of risk. And the sad thing is, although there are some great consultants out there, most consultants aren't attorneys. And the first thing they'll tell you when you ask them to parse the regulations is, you should talk to a securities attorney. Well, that should give you no sense of comfort because those are the people that are working on those manuals and using them like they're a Mad Libs game. Fill in the blank like it's one size fits all. But it's not. Your business is your business. It's what you're trying to achieve, how you plan to structure it, the things you want to offer, the things you want to avoid. So a one size fits all can get you into trouble down the road as regulators are like, why is this in here? This isn't even applicable to you. And now, as Leila said, they're taking it a step further. They don't want to just check the box and say, yep, they have a manual. They want to make sure that somebody's actually supervising, somebody's actually making sure that what you say you do in that manual is actually happening. And if not, you're adjusting. When we look at all of this, what do we do about it? How do we fix it?
Tune in next time to Regulate This, where we will ask,
we've acknowledged at this point, I don't know what I don't know until I find out I don't know it. And that often comes at a painful expense. How do I avoid that?
Take care, y'all.
Bye.